Yeah, so I believe that Diddy's legal team is on a campaign of antics. And I say that because so many things has happened over the past several days. And one of them being Mark Agnifilio. He's done an interview with CBS, as you guys can see from the screenshot. He done an interview and he talked about things that he know is not true at the beginning of that interview. And with him doing that, along with other recent things that happened, it's making me question what type of time they on and what they got going on. What I feel is going on is because Diddy don't have anyone else that can come forward and help him in his situation or speak up for him, or the pardon is not looking good and things like that. He's now put his lawyers out, set them out to come out in the public and start speaking and trying to convince the public of certain things, because he have nobody else that'll do it besides Gina, the one who is not very smart. Okay, she's the ex that's not very smart that came forward and want to publicly act like she's supporting Diddy. Okay, so, and the reason why I say that, because in the last several days, like I said, so many things has happened. We have Westmoreland, which is one of the lawyers on his legal team, that did an interview with CNN the other day. I did a video on that. We now have Mark Agnifilo, which is the lead attorney on Diddy's legal team. He's now doing an interview with CBS. We have Gina posting these crazy social media posts, and she already sent the letter to the judge. We already talked about that. Now she's doing the crazy social media posts. So one of the things that I want to point out about this interview, which is about 50 minutes long on CBS mornings, as you guys can see, you can go check it out if you want to. The interviewer, which her name is Jerica Duncan, I believe, she asked him about what he believed Diddy's sentence was going to be, and he said that he's not sure, but he don't think it's going to be the maximum time. Basically, that's what he said, and that the judge will probably, he's going to follow the sentencing guidelines. She said, well, what about the fact that the judge didn't give him a bail? Like, do you feel like that's going to play a part in his sentencing? And he said no. He said, though, people have to realize that those are two different things, two different avenues. And just because the judge decide one thing when it comes to bail, that don't mean that it will play a role with the sentencing. He said that's not how it works. And he's a lie, okay? And I'm going to show you guys that in a minute. I'm going to show you guys that he's a liar. The judge can use the discretion of the testimony, to his discretion. He can decide what sentence he's going to give Diddy, which both of those charges, which is the transportation for adult activities, both of them carry up to 10 years. So the judge can still take into consideration the testimony of the victims, and also how many victims there were, in this case. So I don't know why Mark would say that. I don't know if he's trying to sway or change what people think, or he know a lot of people don't know nothing about the law. And so he, in my opinion, you're saying that knowing that you're wrong, and if Diddy do get 20 years, for an example, and everything in this video is alleged, but if he do get 20 years, that is going to send an uproar, because the people that still supporting Diddy, I don't know how is so many people still supporting Diddy, they're going to be in shock and say what's going on, and that's unfair, and this and that and the other, when this man know good and well that it can go totally different, and that judge can give Diddy the maximum sentence. Of course, if the judge follow the guidelines, and that's without violence, and I've even said that in the past couple videos that I did on Diddy. Without violence, that's one thing. If the judge include violence or take into consideration the violence that was brought up throughout this trial, the guidelines change. And so I'm going to show you guys a chart of that. Well, I'm going to show you guys proof of that, so I can show you how they playing reindeer games. So this is here, I'm going to read this to you guys right quick. And this says, federal sentencing uses the relevant conduct rule under U.S. sentencing guidelines. This allows the judge to look at any behavior connected to the offense, even conduct the jury didn't convict on, as long as the judge believes it happened by preponderance of the evidence, meaning more likely than not, which is much lower standard than the beyond a reasonable doubt standard used at trial. The Supreme Court confirmed this in cases like United States versus Watts, which held that judges can consider acquitted conduct when determining a sentence. However, this practice is controversial and has been criticized by some lawmakers, defense attorneys, and even a few judges. There's currently legislative and judicial debate about banning it, but as of now, it's still allowed in federal court unless Congress changes the law or the Supreme Court overturns Watts. So that means that the judge has every right to hold everything that was talked about in the trial against Diddy. It's his discretion. It is advised, and they try to, it's advised for the judges to stick to the guidelines of sentencing, but they do not have to, and they can very well use anything that was said throughout the trial, even with the charges that was acquitted. They can still use that to sentence someone. So I was acquitted of this violent charge, okay, for example. I was acquitted of this violent charge, but I was still found guilty on another charge. And you're still holding that violent charge against me while sentencing me, even though I was found not guilty on that charge. And that's basically what it is. And he has every right by law to do just that. Okay, so I wanted to show you guys this chart as well, which says if the judge believes, based on trial testimony, victim statements, or other credible sources, that violence or coercion was involved, they can apply the +4 level enhancement from USGG, whatever. Y'all see the code. Here's how it can shift. And if you guys see, you can see the chart is showing without violence and with violence. So the base level is 14. So they have levels when it comes to sentencing. With and as you can see, without violence, then they don't add any extra levels or anything onto it. But if it is with violence, if the judge do take it into consideration, it's +4. So it is taxed on more time. And then it adjusts the level from 14 to 18, which means he could go from possibly getting 4 to 10 months in jail to 27 to 33 months in jail. And that is per charge. Okay. So that means he could be looking at 66 months in jail. Okay. Now I'm not done. Let me go to the next image so I can show you guys. So this is another chart. And it's basically pretty much what I just showed you guys, but a little bit more broken down. So it's basically showing how the judge can add on more points, okay? And that can make Diddy get more time. So as you can see on the right hand side, it says no violence considered. Again, it starts at 14, and that usually is 4 to 10 months. But if the judge add on violence, coercion, or considered acquitted conduct, then it adds on another 4 points, which could give him the 27 to 33 months. If the judge add on the violence plus multiple victims, it'll add on 2 more points, which could get him 33 months to 41 months. Again, at the end, you see it say up to 10 years in prison. We already knew that for each charge. And then again, the violence plus multiple victims plus obstruction, witness intimidation. So it's like several things he could add on to the basic guidelines of sentencing. So the basic guidelines of sentencing starts at 14, and that's with no violence considered. That's just basic guidelines for sentencing Diddy per charge, okay? So that's 4 to 10 months. But if the judge do decide to take any of the violence or the amount of victims or anything like that into consideration from the testimony or those other charges that he was acquitted of, then Diddy could be looking at 41 to 51 months per charge, okay? So we don't know if the judge gonna stack it or what he's going to do in that situation. We don't know. So I feel that they are playing reindeer games when it comes to doing these interviews. I feel like, Diddy can't get anybody else to speak up for him, so now he's getting the people that he's paying to go speak up and do these interviews and put out this information and, just try to, I think he's so concerned about what the public think, but what he's failing to realize is that the judge is watching all of this, okay? The judge is watching this. You think the judge not sitting back watching what they are doing? Not only did they constantly request for Diddy to get out of jail, and the judge told them no. Now they've been on this thing talking about a pardon for Diddy. Westmoreland just did an interview with CNN days ago saying that Diddy's legal team reached out to the Trump administration trying to get assistance in getting him a pardon. Well, it's real funny that on this interview with Mark with CBS News, he's saying he don't know anything about that. He did not back Westmoreland up on that. He said he's not aware. And so the interviewer, Derica, was like, ain't you the lead attorney? How would you not know that this is going on? So you're saying that you guys have not reached out to the Trump administration? He was like, no. He said, I'm too busy. I'm doing other stuff. So, I have nothing to do with that. I didn't. So how are y'all not on the same accord when it comes to doing these interviews? One attorney is saying one thing and another attorney is saying another. And by you being the lead attorney, it makes you look bad as the lead attorney if you don't know what the other attorneys are doing. Okay? See, it's really sad. And then the judge could be looking at this, because if they think the judge not looking, he is. He know that he got somebody's life in his hands, and I mean, I'm just speculating. I'm guessing, because being a judge is not an easy task or an easy job. That's kind of hard when you got somebody's life in your hands, and whatever decision you come up with is going to affect them, plus their family and several other people. So he's probably sitting back trying to make a decision on which way he going to go. He probably already know which way he going to go. I don't know. But I'm just saying, so you're not making it easy when you're coming along, undermining him, in my opinion, because that's what it seemed like you're doing. Y'all out now doing these interviews, and then now we got Miss Airhead that I was trying not to say that about her, but let me see if I could. Here you go. Look at this. Now, you guys probably seen it if you've been keeping up with what's going on, because people have posted this already, but I just want to do everything in one video. This is Gina. A couple days ago, she posted this on her social media, saying free Diddy and all this. She said, you sheeps act like I can't forgive a man I once loved. I'm not going to kick him while he's down because y'all want me to. B, I don't even know you. The F, goofies, I'ma always have his back. I've never been the type of person to follow crowds and trends. I'm not a follower. Free Diddy. Girl, if you is following the crowd and the trend. Okay? And it's his crowd and his trend. That's what you're doing. And then nobody else is coming forward, for a reason. So it's not always good to be the oddball out. It's the reason why nobody else is coming forward. I have my personal opinions of why, but it's the reason why Diddy, nobody else is coming forward for him and speaking up for him. You the only person. That's like you see a crowd of people running and you just stand there. You don't know what they running for, but you just stand there. Usually, when you see a crowd of people run, you don't need to ask no questions. Just run, because you know something going on. She the type of person that's going to stand there like, what's going on? You know what I'm saying? Like, really? It's the reason nobody else is coming forward. So you being loud is going to land you behind bars playing with the federal government. You playing with them at this point. You undermining them. You went into front of the grand jury and you told them one thing, but now you over here saying a whole nother thing. You was on Tasha K several years ago saying all these things Diddy did to you, and now you over here saying that you think he deserved to get out and that he has not been valid in years and you think he learned his lesson. But per Jane Doe, just last year, he was still being valid. So what are you talking about? I think that you feel, Gina, that if you be the ride or die type of female, that he gonna pick you. Baby, he's not gonna pick you. If he was gonna pick you, you would have already been picked a long time ago. And the sad part is, you wasn't even picked, and you allowed that man, or that man did all those things to you, and you got a nerve to defend him when you wasn't even number one then, and you're not gonna be number one now. You want him that bad to yourself that you're going to be the only person come forward and defend him in a situation like this when he went upside your head and you was never his choice. I'm going to leave that alone, but the girl, she need to be very careful. Like I said, she need to go into hiding and things like that. Now, another thing that Agnifilio revealed in this interview with CBS is that the jury was showed a total of a little bit over an hour of footage that was confiscated from Diddy's home. I feel like it all ties into the reason why we didn't see anyone else get charged in this case. And I was trying to wait to say this, but I really think that this plays a part. How is it that at first it was being said 4,000 hours was confiscated from Diddy's home? Back in February, when a judge was asking the prosecutors what was taking so long, and because they wasn't reaching or meeting the deadlines when it was coming to submitted evidence into court so that the defense team could prepare for trial. One of the issues was that they was still looking over videos that they had confiscated, and they was trying to get, professionals or to get the videos off the devices they had confiscated. So from that, I knew that it was a lot of video. Okay. They told the judge, they asked the judge for an extension, and they told the judge they were still working on getting the rest of the video off the tapes and whatever they confiscated. Yeah, it probably was camcorders and stuff like that from back in the day. No, I'm not sure. But obviously it was something a little bit more complicated than just a cell phone they was trying to get the videos out of, because they had retrieved some of the videos. I remember that day in court. This was back, I believe, in February, and they asked the judge for an extension. On that day, they did have some videos, but they didn't have all, and they still was trying to retrieve the rest of the videos. So how is it that y'all only showed 1 hour worth of videos? Where's the rest of the videos? Because how you only got 1 hour of video out of all the stuff that you guys took from his home? According to y'all, this is what's been out, and everything in this video is alleged. But it's been said that it was so many devices and video devices and things that was taken from his home. Where it's at? And so many other things they could have charged Diddy with. The pow-pows. They didn't even charge him with that. The substances, he was not charged with that. And in a case like this, you would think that those charges would have been added, because it only would have proved what they was trying to portray, or what their argument was in the first place with the charges that they did bring up on him. It made sense to have those charges on there. That's why I feel like all of this is really a game. And, I'm putting pieces together. I give my opinion on what, they are talking about, but I really feel like it's way more than what we know. It's way more than what the public know. It's way more stuff going on, and it's way more people involved in this situation. But again, his legal team, I don't know how good they are doing when it comes to going public on this situation. I feel like now, since Diddy can't get anybody else to go public for him, he got his legal team do it. I mean, they ain't really got no choice, considering he paying them. The money stop if you don't do what I tell you to do. So they out here doing these interviews and stuff like that. And Agnifilo, he's sitting up here lying, saying that the judge is, the guidelines for bail is not the same for sentencing, and they are two different things, and the judge have a guideline that he has to follow. No, he do not. He can definitely take into consideration the violence that was talked about throughout the trial from the witnesses and the testimony. What are you talking about? And you know that. But the sad part is a lot of people who don't know that. So the ones who still continue to support Diddy is gonna have their pennies in a bunch come October 3rd, when sentencing come, if the judge decide to use all those other things against Diddy when it comes to sentencing him. It may not happen. I'm not saying it will. My point is, it could happen. And Agnifilo knows that. So why would he say it has nothing to do with that? He's saying that the bail has nothing to do with or the judge's decision and the way the judge looked at bail has nothing to do with sentencing. It has everything to do with it. Now, come October, the judge could say, okay, we're just going to give you probation. We're going to leave it at the first level. I'm not going to add any violence or anything else. We're going to just get level 14, and you already did a year. So the 4 to 10 months, we just going to, do it like that. You already did that year. You get probation. You out of here. The judge could do that, honestly. But I feel like if that's the case, we're less than, 60 days away from sentencing. Why wouldn't the judge let him out on bail if the judge had any intentions to let him go on October 3rd? That's all I'm saying. Why would the judge not let him go now on bail? He could even give him house arrest. Why would the judge not do that? Because I feel the judge got other plans. This judge seemed like a very strict judge. I think he already got his mind made up. I really feel that. I really do. And I think he's taking it serious consideration. He's taking it very seriously, the violence part. While Agnifilio saying no and the judge this and that, he's taking that into consideration, because if that was not the case, your client wouldn't still be in jail right now. He'll be out on bail. The judge did not budge. He's not giving Diddy bail. They have tried 5 times to get Diddy bail. 2 from this judge here. And the judge is like, no. And it's based on his team of lawyers on their own statements. They said that he was violent. They admitted to that. It came back to backfire, but they admitted that. So the judge not budging. So, I feel like if the judge is taking it into consideration, he feel like Diddy is a violent threat. What make y'all think that the judge wouldn't think he a violent threat in less than 60 days from now? Like, if you're going to go upside somebody's head today, you'll go upside somebody's head next month, next year, next week. So I don't see why people think the judge is not going to use that as a part of the sentencing guidelines. I just really feel like he is. He seemed like he's strict. He seemed like he's not trying to hit nothing. It don't seem like he got much, he's not going to give much leniency. And I really feel like he's going to use that because he continues to talk about the violence when it comes to Diddy. It seems like the judge is not playing when it comes to that. So for them to be sitting there, trying to give Diddy hope and give, I guess the public hope now, it's not looking good. Be honest. Because if that's the case, your client would be out. What are you talking about? And then to say that those are 2 different things, I just showed y'all proof. Y'all can look it up. Y'all can go do research. In federal court, the judge has every right to take the testimony or the things, the violence or whatever, in consideration that happened through trial, even if the person was acquitted of those charges. And that's the reason, that's like literally the number 1 reason why the judge said he won't give Diddy bail, because of the violence. That is the reason. That's the reason that the judge gave. So what make you think he will not take violence into consideration during sentencing? On top of that, I'm sure that the witnesses is probably going to reach back out to the judge before sentencing day. I got a feeling they're going to do that. It's going to happen. Okay. I still haven't heard anything about the letter that Gina sent to the judge. I don't think he probably threw that letter out or, looked at it and was like, girl, bye. Because you better hope you don't be in jail. Because we haven't heard anything about that. The judge not stunting what she talking about. You were supposed to be witness 3 to testify against Diddy, and all of a sudden now you on his side. The judge not trying to hear that. Also, the judge submitted this letter. Let me see. So the prosecutors, they was submitting documents that had redactions in them, which they not supposed to be doing that because trial is over and everything should be made public. And the judge, and I'm not going to go over everything because this was last week, so I'm not going to go over everything that was redacted and all that. But what I want you guys to pay attention to is what the judge response was yesterday, and the judge basically told them when it comes to redacting, because basically the prosecutors were saying we still need to redact some information to protect the witnesses and things like that. You know, we don't want certain things to get out. We still have to protect them and their identity and stuff like, I don't know who they trying to protect, you know, because we already know about Jane Doe, Cassie, and all these other people. The only person who did not testify was Gina. So, and that was witness 3 that came up missing at the beginning of the trial, and now she want to come out. Anywho, so the judge right here in blue, pay attention to the blue, is say that's fine for now, basically telling them you can, okay, I'm gonna allow you to redact that for now, but the parties should not expect that any submissions made in connection with the upcoming sentencing will be sealed. Everything should be filed on the public docket absent advance authorization to do otherwise. So ordered. And that was yesterday. So basically the judge is saying, okay, I'm giving you the opportunity for now. Eventually they're going to have to show it anyway. But anything else that they file, they have to show it unless they ask them in advance. They have to show it. And they should. Why is stuff still being redacted after trial is crazy to me. Like, come on, man. Is it somebody else that we don't know anything about? Because the only other person that I know, you know, is victim 3, Gina, who didn't testify. And, I mean, everybody is aware of her and who she is and, like, the situation with the trial and her not showing up. So, like, what are you guys hiding? So, I don't know. But good thing is the judge let them know. That's it. Moving forward, nothing else should be redacted. If you submit it into the court, it needs to be shown. So right now, this video got way longer than what I thought I was going to do. I just kind of wanted to let you guys know what was going on and what I believe. I see several other people reporting these recent activities that's been happening, and everybody's perspective is different. But when I sat back and thought about like everything, especially when I heard him lie in the beginning of his interview, Mark Agnifilio, when I heard him lie in the beginning of his interview, when he know for a fact that that federal judge could do whatever he wants to when it comes to Diddy, up to 20 years, he could add on however many points, or he could just flat out say 20 years, 10 each. He could say probation. He could let him go. It could be either way. But for him to get up there and lie, it's because I wasn't even gonna report it this way. I was looking at it a little bit different. But then when I heard him lie, it's like, hold on, it's like a domino effect. First we have Gina with her BS started last week. Then we have Westmoreland. She doing this interview, said that they reached out to the Trump administration to get this pardon for him and things like that, and they waiting to hear back and all that. Now we have Mark up there on CBS. It's like they making their rounds and they all doing it, you know, because back to back. So for you to get up there and lie like that, you know, it's like, what are you doing? Because that was in the beginning of the interview. You saying that, no, they are two different things. No, they're not. What you need to do is be honest. And she even asked him, Derica, the interviewer, she asked him, like, you know, have you talked to Diddy of what the, you know, and been truthful with him about what the outcome could be and what sentencing may look like? And he said, yeah, but, you know, this and that. Like, he's playing it, like, super cool. And by now, he should be a little nervous because I don't know what's up. But if he haven't figured out by now that that judge is unpredictable and he's standing on business, I don't know what to tell him, okay? Because that judge is really standing on business. This video has gotten way too long. I was not trying to do it this long, but I just want to let you guys know what was going on. Tell me what y'all think in the comments, especially when it's related to, do you think his legal team is going around trying to do this crazy campaign of, you know, swaying the public and make it lie, making people think certain things? This man is the lead attorney. He knows nothing about y'all reaching out for a pardon, but that's what Westmoreland over there saying. She clearly said that. I did a video on her interview a couple of days ago. She said that you guys reached out to the Trump administration for a pardon for Diddy. And now you're saying you know nothing about it. So I feel like Diddy said, look, y'all go out there and do whatever y'all got to do, but get to the public ASAP. And they didn't come up with a plan in advance so they could know who was doing what. And that's why their story's not matching now. They just out here running their mouth and trying to lie. When I heard that lie, I knew something was up. When I heard that, if he wouldn't have lied, then I still would have been, okay, they just tried to X, Y, and Z. But when I heard him lie, I knew. He on BS. He on BS because he know better. And he keep running his mouth. The judge, that's probably going to sway the judge to really lay it on Diddy. Because now y'all out there playing with me. Like you can predict. Or you think I'm a joke. Now let me show you I'm not. And he better hope that don't happen. But anywho, that's it. That's all I got for y'all. Tell me what you think in the comments. Bye.